I'm gonna do this episode from wherever I am. Right now I'm in the car. I'm at a red light and I'll have to stop at each light. I want to talk about something that's happened to me and the implications it has for the concept of commitment and staying committed on a path, and how there was a time I don't think I would have stayed committed, and I hope I will stay committed. So what's happened is I've been working on a student film. It's a student film I really like. I thought it was a beautiful, emotional, poignant film. And as happens sometimes, frequently, if I really like a film, it inspires me to write music that I really love. So I love the music I've come up with for this film, and I really felt the music fit the film. I thought it lifted the film to a higher place. Of course, that's always a problem, because even if you lift a film to a higher place, it's a different place than what the director had envisioned, and it's very, very difficult, I think, for directors to accommodate the change that happens in their film when this new interloper, this music suddenly is in it, and it doesn't feel like what they expected it to feel like. It's almost impossible for it to feel like they expected it to feel, unless they maybe used a temp track, and the temp track was a lot like what you wrote for it. Unless, I was saying, unless that music is just sort of nondescript atmospherics that really don't make much of a statement of their own, but just sort of maybe create a mood. And it turns out that on this film I wrote music that I thought was really beautiful music, and I'll play that music for you. And the director, turns out, he wanted just atmospherics, and so I did all this extremely hard work, and I thought that the music and the action and the characters were working really well together, but the director felt the music was taking over the film and overpowering the film. It was, as he said, too big for the images. And maybe I'll even create some very sort of nondescript atmospherics for him that will support his film in the way he wants. He certainly has invited me to stay on board and do that, and I may do that for him. It's not really what I do. It's not really what I got into this for, but I do think this director could probably find some perfectly good atmospherics at a royalty-free site on the internet would do just as well as what I'll come up with for him. But I like him, and I really do want to help him out with his film. This is certainly not the last time this is going to happen for me. This is the modern aesthetic. A lot of film score composers have complained about it. I think the modern aesthetic in films is that the music is supposed to stay out of the way. They don't want the big themes as much anymore. That's seen more these days as the music stepping out in front of the action on screen. That's a legitimate aesthetic, but it's not what drew me to writing film scores and writing for the orchestra, of course. The point I wanted to make is I'm very sad about this. I'm really, really sad. I loved this music I wrote, and I loved the film that I wrote it for, and I wanted to see that film realized with this music I wrote. Now, maybe I wrote too much. Maybe it's too busy, and maybe the music really is stepping on the action. And while I don't feel like I have the right to present the music and the images together here, when you hear the music, maybe you can tell me if you think the music would be too much to go along with some action. In the comments you can tell me that. So maybe this is a learning experience for me. Maybe I am over composing. I didn't think so watching the film. And there's this feeling of desperation. There's this like, oh my God, I poured my heart into this, and it's being taken. I feel heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. And this is gonna happen many times. In my life, I'm 48, and I've had my work rejected a lot in my life. And I've been heartbroken every time. And what I've done with that heartbreak, most of my life, what I've done with that heartbreak is conclude that I must not be a fit for whatever discipline I was in. Political science, when I tried to get a job in political science, I was kind of a weird candidate, and all my colleagues got jobs easily and I didn't, and I ran away from political science. I've run away from music multiple times in my life when I didn't achieve acceptance. The very emotion fused desire to just run away from scoring films and think, wow, the way I want to do this is just not what anybody wants. Because I've now been fired or found that I wasn't the right fit in one way or another for the last 2 projects. This is 2 projects in a row where I've either been let go or concluded that I really should cut myself loose. And so it's very tempting to conclude, wow, this is too much heartbreak, too much effort to pour into something and have it be rejected. I believe that my inability to get myself to stay in the fight and endure the heartbreak, and maybe endure heartbreak multiple times in a row even, and just keep soldiering forward. My inability to do that is the reason why I'm 48 years old and don't have a career in either music or political science. I don't have a career for all the effort that I've put forth. So this brings me to my comment about commitment. I'm not motivated right now to write any music because I feel like, what's the point? That's crazy, but that's where the heart goes. That's where my heart goes. Like, what's the point? It'll be rejected. But motivation's not the key to reaching new places in your life. Commitment is. Commitment to the path. Commitment means discipline, daily discipline. And the test is, can you do it on the days when you're not motivated? Motivation comes and goes, but commitment is more enduring. So the key here is to remain committed to composing every day, composing for films, and putting my heart on the line over and over and over again. You hear the story about how George Lucas was rejected something like 20 times for Star Wars. You know, when a studio finally agreed to make Star Wars, my memory of the story is that it was kind of lukewarm, and they didn't want to pour that much money into it. And of course, we all know what happened with Star Wars. You know, I think you have to decide what you are and what you want to do with your life, and you have to commit to doing it. And that means if you get your heart broken twice in a row, or 20 times in a row, you have to decide that you are willing to fail over and over and over at this because it's what you are. And I've never been able to do that. So that's where I'm at. I'm sad, I'm heartbroken. I love this music I wrote, but I have to soldier on. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to write music, write for film, write for the orchestra, and I may have to fail and fail and fail and fail. Maybe I am writing too much music that's stepping on the action on screen. I'm not ready to concede that yet, but if that's the lesson that life is trying to teach me by repeated failures, eventually I'll get that lesson. I don't think you change your approach after just 2 failures in a row. That's not enough for you to say, wow, I'm doing something wrong. That's the old me. But, you know, maybe I'll have to confront that at some point. And then I'll have to decide if writing for the movies necessarily means writing music that's not really in my heart. Maybe I need to write academic music or something. I have to decide then whether is it writing for the movies that I want to do, or is it writing music that I want to do? Or maybe maybe I'll find that I need to be a niche composer. Maybe I need to write for cartoons, where that kind of sort of more music is welcome because the music becomes almost part of the story in cartoons, children's music or something. So there's some wonderful music. And I've worked with a young director who is aiming at a career in children's television, and she loves the music that I write for her films. It's very, very busy. The music's very involved in what's happening on screen, but there's not very much dialogue, and the music helps tell the story a lot. So maybe I need to have I'll figure relationships with more directors like that, whatever. I'll figure it all out down the road, but the only way to figure it out down the road is to stay on the road. So I think that's what I'm taking from this, and that's just what I'm sharing with you today. It's about commitment, and commitment has to mean being willing to have your heart broken over and over and over again. And my heart is broken today. So that's all I got for you.